There's a real problem with American policy towards Taiwan. We want relations with Beijing at this moment to be smooth, but the Taiwanese, they're a democratic nation and they want things. So they're not just going to roll over just because Washington says, we don't want you to make a noise at this point. One of the things is the United States should be defending democracies. We shouldn't be cozying up to authoritarian bullies. So I think it's wrong, the American policy. But more important than the policy being wrong, it's just unrealistic. Because there are 23 million people on that island who want to have their own nation. It's as fundamental as that. And we, of all nations, a democracy, should understand that. I think that the best thing for us to do in terms of avoiding war is to be very clear about our support. We should let nobody be in any doubt that we are going to defend Taiwan. This policy of ambiguity, which has been carried on for quite some time now by American administrations, both Republican and Democratic, I think is going to lead to misunderstanding on the part of the Chinese. So we just need to be extremely clear. The world awarded the Olympics to China on the hope that Chinese society would get better as a result. But the evidence so far is that the country is moving backwards. There's been an unprecedented political crackdown for the last 5 years on everything and everybody, from democracy advocates to newspaper editors to the writers of karaoke songs. There's evidence that the Olympics is directly responsible for this because the government feels that it should not be experimenting in the sensitive run-up to the games. But worse, the Chinese government is re-employing mass mobilization techniques and reimposing strict social controls, which are, after all, the essential tools of totalitarian governance in order to stage the Olympic extravaganza. So instead of making things better for the Chinese people, the Olympics, in a way, are making them worse. And that is something that we have to recognize. We've tried to engage the Chinese by awarding the Olympics, but I think that our policy is not working out. The Chinese are no more law-abiding or criminal than anybody else by their nature, but by the nature of the system, many things are criminalized. So, for instance, people who steal a little bit of money from a bank can be executed. People who allow bad products into the market, as we saw with an official earlier this year, he was executed. That's sort of like the Chinese way of doing things. If they got a problem, instead of really trying to deal with the fundamental root causes and take care of it, what they do is they just go out and lop off a few heads, declare a 4-month campaign, as they did in the products case, and then just sort of go, oh, it's done. The Chinese are ruthlessly pragmatic. They'll deal with anybody, and it's really a part of the regime. It's inherent in the nature of the Beijing government. There's also a part of it that the People's Republic, when it was founded in 1949, was an outsider. And they identified themselves by being against the West. Today, in Chinese foreign policy, we can see that there's some sort of hesitation because they are embarrassed in, for instance, supporting the Sudanese government. And they are a little bit concerned about their image with regard to their help to the Burmese junta. But nonetheless, it takes a long time for a country to change its foreign policy approaches, and Beijing has not gotten to that point yet. Some people are going to say, oh, the West is hypocritical and we have relations with Pakistan and whatever. Well, it is true that we do have relations with some government that I'm not proud of, but usually those are aberrations. And also, we do that sometimes to engage other countries, to sort of bring them into the international system. The Chinese do it because they are illiberal, secretive, insecure. In other words, they are like those regimes that we're concerned about. So it is no coincidence that the only military alliance that Beijing maintains is with the North Koreans. They are cut from the same cloth. They are communist cousins. And unfortunately, we need to remember that when we deal with China. Every generation likes to think that it lives in consequential times, but we may actually be doing so because what we are seeing is a transition in the international system. As Henry Kissinger said last year, never in world history have so many events been taking place at the same time. This change is fast, and what we are seeing is a transition away from the American-led system to something else. And part of it is because the United States has been sort of promoting that by trying to bring in the large authoritarian states of China and Russia. We sort of acting on this principle that these illiberal, secretive, insecure states can actually be a force for positive change in the world. And that's not true. I don't think that that'll ever be the case. What will be a force for positive change will be the West, as it has been. Right now, we're in a particularly precarious moment. The world can be safe in any sort of international system, whether a hegemonic one like the one we have had since the end of the Cold War, a multipolar one, a bipolar one like the Cold War. But the world is rarely safe when it transitions from one system to another, and that's what we're seeing today. I think that we're staking our own security and the security of other nations on the hope that China and Russia will help the rest of the world achieve solutions. I just don't see that happening. One could argue that over the course of decades or centuries, the Chinese and the Russians will become a positive force. But by then, the international system will have fallen apart and will have been engulfed by our problems. So it's very important that we recognize that this is not just a question of attaining solutions to some critical problems the world faces, but to doing so fast enough, because this is an issue of time. Many people made the argument that the Chinese just weren't ready for democracy. But, unfortunately for the autocrats in Beijing, the people in Taiwan, showed them that the Chinese people are indeed ready for democracy and can govern themselves. You think about the Chinese political system. What you essentially got are 9 guys sitting in a walled compound in Beijing who attempt to rule about 1.5 billion Chinese. It's just absurd to just think about the nature of the political system.